So if you want to understand the limits of our digital future, honestly, don't look at Silicon Valley.
Right.
You really need to look at a Category 3 hurricane spinning off the coast of Hawaii. Or, an oil tanker dodging threats in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, which sounds completely unrelated, I know.
Exactly. Welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking a stack of global news briefs today, and the theme is basically this tangled fuse box. It's like you pull a physical wire in the Pacific and somehow the lights flicker in an Ohio data center.
It really does, it completely flips the script on how we view technology
Yeah.
because we tend to treat the digital world as this infinite weightless space.
Like it's just magic floating around in the cloud.
Right. But right now, the actual physical bedrock it sits on is fracturing. I mean, look at Hawaii.
Mm.
Hurricane Lala didn't even make direct landfall, but it still knocked out power for 42,000 people.
Yeah, and I read that scientists are actually out there right now studying the volcanic terrain, but why does local geology matter so much for a power grid?
Well, steep volcanic rock just doesn't absorb water well. It turns heavy rain into this immediate, violent runoff.
Oh, wow, so it just washes right over everything.
Exactly. It destroys transmission lines and floods substations instantly. So local emergency teams are, scrambling to rebuild that physical infrastructure.
And then on the exact opposite side of the planet, Iran is restricting the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, the UAE just accused them of attacking a commercial vessel owned by ADNOC, the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company.
And U.S. gas prices hit $4.08 a gallon. But okay, wait. I understand a localized grid failing in Hawaii, and I definitely see how an attack on a major oil tanker pushes U.S. gas prices up.
Right.
But are we really saying these two totally different physical crises, a storm and a Middle Eastern standoff, are actually compounding? Because that feels like a bit of a stretch.
I mean, it sounds like one, but they compound because they both choke the exact same global supply chain. When the Strait of Hormuz is restricted, war risk insurance premiums for cargo vessels immediately spike.
Oh, so everything moving by sea gets wildly expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The delivered cost of fuel just soars globally. So when Hawaii needs to ship in materials to rebuild its grid or buy fuel to run backup generators, the cost is astronomically higher.
It's like a global game of Jenga. And it's easy to look at a hurricane and an oil dispute as traditional physical problems. But those exact same geopolitical borders are now being drawn straight through our artificial intelligence networks.
Oh, absolutely. They are bleeding directly into the digital world.
Like, the U.S. is practically forcing allied nations to choose between American and Chinese AI frameworks right now. Are we trying to build digital walls? Is it even possible to isolate AI like that?
Well, policymakers are essentially using AI standards as modern diplomacy now. So, for instance, the U.S. champions open-weight models.
Where the underlying architecture is just widely available for developers to download and tweak, right?
Right. And that kind of open access makes them a direct strategic threat to strict, heavily censored ecosystems.
Which explains why Apple is building a completely separate, closed-off internal AI model just for China.
Yes. They are hard-coding Chinese regulations into a localized silo.
Just so they can still sell iPhones there without relying on outside open-weight providers.
Precisely. And Chinese developers like DeepSeek, they aren't just playing defense. They are aggressively undercutting global AI pricing.
Wait, how are they doing it so cheaply?
By utilizing these highly optimized, smaller training clusters, they require a fraction of the raw computing power, which puts massive pressure on U.S. and European developers to compete on cost.
But here's the ultimate irony of all this. To win this digital arms race, both sides have to build unimaginably massive server farms, which brings us crashing right back into the physical world.
Yeah, you can't escape the hardware.
Right. AI isn't floating in the cloud, it's a very thirsty beast on the ground. It's like trying to power a high-speed bullet train using an electrical grid built for golf carts.
That is the ultimate bottleneck. Cloud providers are fiercely competing for high-capacity grid connections. One of the briefs notes that NVIDIA recently reduced its funding guarantee for a massive OpenAI data center project in Ohio.
Because of the power constraints.
Partly, yes. And the capital required to build these facilities is so immense that they are actually impacting the broader economy.
Wait, how does building a data center in Ohio impact the broader economy? Are they literally driving up interest rates?
Yes. Indirectly. I mean, building these data centers requires borrowing tens of billions of dollars.
Wow.
That astronomical demand for capital absorbs liquidity in the market, which drives up interest rates and bond yields across the board. The explosive growth of tech is competing for the exact same capital, and the exact same physical electricity needed to keep your lights on after a storm.
That is wild. So the next time you pull up to the gas station and see $4.08 gallon, you aren't just paying for an oil dispute in the Middle East or an emergency grid in the Pacific.
No, you're competing with a tech giant trying to power a massive AI model.
Which leaves us with a really critical thought for you to ponder. If the world continues to fragment into these competing AI coalitions, and those models require such immense physical resources,
Will the next major global conflict be fought over oil in the straits or over the electricity needed to run our data centers?
that is a heavy question. Keep an eye on that tangled fuse box, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.